This video is about the power of learning maths through play. Play power with Pi.
All about helping you help your young learners to become better learners, for you to become a better facilitator, giving you some great ideas and get great guidance on how you can help your young learners learn maths. And today it's all about play. Yesterday was Pi Day, March the 14th. And we've got a little bit of pie, little bit of pie play with a pie plate.
Well, I know that Finland ranks very highly in international comparisons of student achievement in mathematics. They're one of the top countries in the world, and they have been consistently for, 20, 30 years. But it's very interesting because they believe in learning through play, and they really incorporate that in their school, the planning of their school day. And children don't start school until they're 7 in Finland, which is quite late in comparison to other European countries anyway. They have shorter school days than most other countries, and teachers and local authorities have far greater autonomy in Finland than in the other high-performing countries. And despite all that, the fact that play features powerfully in Finnish education, they are really high achievers. So what do you think of this diagram here, Caroline?
I got very excited when I saw that diagram, because these are all the things that, well, actually this diagram adds to my font of my toolkit in making maths fun, making maths intriguing and interesting, and getting the learners to think for themselves. But it's got the first word I saw was grit, and that I haven't used the word grit, but it's perseverance, determination. I do use that, perseverance, determination. The sense of beauty, it's so clearly, carefully thought out, and ability to create questions. How powerful is that? It's something we expect teachers to do, but we don't normally expect our learners to create their own questions.
But when you think about what is learning all about these days, I mean, the children today will be the adults of tomorrow in a world that we can't even properly imagine now. The whole world is changing so fast. And what we can be certain of is that being able to remember facts and being able to follow routine procedures will only give you a very low-paid job in the world of the future, because machines can do that so much better than people. And what we want to be educating our children to achieve is these higher order skills. And what this is built, this diagram is built around, it's described as building blocks of playful learning. And it's learning those skills that the children are going to need in life. If they're teenagers now, it's going to come up sooner, but if they're small children in primary school, they may have 10 or more years to go before they're out there in the big wide world. But for all of them, these life skills are hugely important. Now, Caroline was talking about the ability to create questions. Well, what we want people in the important jobs and in their homes too to be doing in the future is problem solving. The routine things will be done by computers. Human beings need to be creative, and they need to be able to ask questions about what do we need and how are we going to achieve that? What's important in this process that I'm doing in my work, or I'm a doctor trying to cure a patient, or whatever it is. And we've got to ask questions in our own heads or in conversation, and then try and answer those questions. And we have to do investigation, finding out the facts and what needs to be done to solve the problem, and then often using automated machinery for measuring things and for building and all sorts, structuring. So there are other things here, like, it's courage. You've got to believe in yourself, and you've got to be able to have good social interaction and relation with other people in the working world, and in the family, and in the home too. You've got to have creativity and originality and flexibility. Anything else strike you about this, Caroline?
Yeah, courage for me is a huge one. The other, one of the things that struck me was just the mindset, but in the center. It's the very thing in the center. I mean, the whole structure is based around empowering the learners, just every single aspect of it. And that's how it has to be. To become a lifelong learner, you have to be empowered. You have to learn to think. But the middle building blocks of playful learning, every single one of those ovals is full of what's visualized as playful learning. And they're just guidelines to playful learning.
And one of them I like particularly is this idea of knowledge co-creation. The idea that with colleagues, you actually have to discover and create the knowledge, use the knowledge that's already known, of course. But if the problem's already been solved, okay, fine, but then you move on. But supposing you've got a difficult problem that there isn't a solution known to it, then you have to create new knowledge, not by yourself, but working with other people. I think that's a very sort of tough challenge, isn't it? And then there's the agents. Yes.
Isn't it a great destination? Isn't it a great to be searching for that, to actually put that in as your purpose for what the learners in school are going to come out with at the end? Isn't it? I'm blown away by it. I love reading about the Finnish school system, and I don't understand why we're all not doing it.
And then the next one around the sort of just going anti-clockwise around that clock is agency and autonomy. You give people some responsibility for the next steps they're going to take. You make them the change agents. So you give them agency and autonomy. Now, in the classroom, whether they're young children in primary school or teenagers, they should have some autonomy about their learning so that they learn how to behave like that as an adult. And group work is important too in school, so that they can do knowledge co-creation with other people. Of course, Caroline and I are passionate about mathematics, aren't we, Caroline?
Yes.
And we believe that there is beauty in it. And it's not just maths, other subjects too. You can be passionate.
I've got a wonderful story about beauty in mathematics. Well, this is specifically mathematics. I was doing a week of bubbly maths in schools that a lady had arranged. She wasn't a teacher. She just was really passionate about it, and she arranged various different people to come and experience deliver at the schools in her village and her small town. And she said she hates math. She's no good at maths, and I'm like, I'm sure that's not true. And then I stayed with her in her home. She was a lovely woman, and walked in, and I don't know if it felt as though every single picture on the wall, and there were lots of them, were all patterns and shapes. They were all highly, overtly, obviously mathematical. And I'm like, wait a minute, you said you don't like maths. She goes, that's not maths, that's art. What she could see was the beauty and it's, and she was a lover of the beauty of maths.
Yes, I mean, a lot of maths is looking at patterns. So why does play matter? It's because our understanding of learning has changed. Certainly changed in the last 50 years, a lot since I started teaching. And research has shown that there are clear relationships between academic achievement on the one hand and the experience of play and the development of social and self-regulatory skills on the other hand. Really important. And play helps people to build the skills needed in life. It's hard to predict career paths for young people now, or the social demands that they will face. So they'll need to adapt to change. They'll need to take new roles, to continue lifelong learning, and learn to understand the factual basis and technical processes and new jobs, but also at home. And people will need to engage in creative problem solving, that's what we were talking about, and to exercise resilience and flexibility in new conditions. Yes, because we're all, I mean, I'm an old woman, but the children we're talking about, the young people, will be facing new conditions and changing conditions. Now, I'm showing this picture of how AIMSEC, which is the organization I run, helps teachers and parents at home to develop cost-free manipulatives. So what do the children play with? What do they play with at home, and what do they play with in school? Now, a lot of children have had packets from the kitchen and made up their own shop and made or being given some play money so that they can play shop with containers from the kitchen. If the game needs counters, they can use beans or stones for counters. What you see here is models. You see in the middle of the picture there, people making models from rolled up paper sticks. Down on the left, you see a packet from the kitchen, and that's to learn about that particular shape, which is a cuboid, but in a maths lesson. But as I explained, toys don't have to be expensive things you buy. They can be items that you would throw away otherwise, containers, perhaps plastic containers that you would throw away that can be used for water play, all sorts of objects that are found around and don't cost very much. Now you see in the picture there the answer to what is the number pi and explain it. So here you see this picture. Anna's got a plate, and some string. The first thing she's going to do is to wrap the string around the plate and cut it off so that the length of the string is exactly the length of the distance we call circumference. Tell me when you've done that, Caroline.
Let me see. I'm going to start it there. I actually didn't think about that. I should have got some tape. So anyway, I'll go around like this and I'll hold it. And I'll hold
then cut
it.
the string so that you have a piece of string which is the length of the circumference. And then stretch it out into a line. Okay,
it's more or less there. This isn't precise.
It doesn't have to be exact. Do as well as you can. It's
definitely not exact.
Take your string again, stretch it across through the middle of the plate, and just mark where you think the middle is, and just mark the distance across the widest part, which is the diameter, and cut the piece of string. And do that 3 times so that you've got 3 diameters. Don't cut them too long, just make them exactly the diameter, distance across. You're getting them the right length is the most important thing.
Right, I've got 3 diameters and 1 circumference.
And just put the strings that are the diameters underneath the long string, which is the circumference, and what do you notice?
I've got 1 to there, and then I'm going to continue this one there and keep going. And then I'm going to move the plate out of the way so that you can see better. And then I'm going to add the third one where that last one left off. And oh my goodness, they're almost the same length.
But just a bit less.
So just a bit less.
So that what we've learned is that the number pi, which, well, this is how pi is defined. It's a ratio of the circumference to the diameter of a circle. And it's just a bit more than 3. The circumference is just a bit more than 3 diameters. And your learners, your children, your students should do that themselves, or at least in pairs, just what you've seen Caroline do. There's a lot of interesting facts about pi. I put a few here on the screen. The number pi is just a bit more than 3. It's 3.141 something, 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 and on it goes. And so March, which is the 3rd month, the 14th March the 14th, which was yesterday, we'll call Pi Day, or it was also called the International Day of Mathematics because of this number pi. It also was Albert Einstein's birthday, coincidentally. Now you might you might ask, if pi is 3.14159 something something something, how long is it? How many digits does it have? And the answer is that it's infinite. It never ends. So it's an infinite decimal. Pi is an irrational number. It cannot be written as a fraction. No way. Now, I think some of you are thinking, oh, but pi is 22/7. Sorry, folks, it is not. Absolutely not. It's 22/7 is an approximation to pi. It's pretty close to pi, but it isn't pi. And I think a lot of people will have learned that pi was 22/7 in school, so they learnt something that was false. Okay.
A rational number is a number that you can be expressed as a fraction with 2 whole numbers, whereas an irrational cannot be written as a fraction or a ratio of 2 whole numbers. Therefore, it is irrational.
Pi was a ratio of the circumference to the diameter. When you work that out, it's not the ratio of 2 whole numbers, as Caroline so rightly said. What we know about pi is that it's an infinite decimal expansion. There are no patterns, so it's very difficult to memorize. And so people try to compete about remembering how many digits. Bit of a crazy thing to try.
Crazy people.
Yes. Pi comes from the Greek letter P, which stood for perimeter, because it's the ratio of the distance around to the diameter. It's which is the 16th number in the Greek alphabet, and it's been known. Human beings have known about pi and have known that it's an irrational number, and then known that it's a little bit more than 3 for almost 4,000 years. Might not have used the language we use today, but they knew about pi. Archimedes of Syracuse, and this is a good story, but it's supposed to be true, that he was so engrossed in his mathematical work that he didn't notice that Rome had been conquered that the Romans had conquered Syracuse, and a Roman soldier came up to him and yelled at him in Greek, and he yelled at the the soldier in Greek, don't touch my circles. Well, it probably wasn't circles. He was probably like my husband, engrossed in some mathematics, and he didn't want to be disturbed. And the Roman soldier simply cut off his head and went on about what he was doing. So we want to talk about free play, and we want to talk about play that is led by other children, other young people. We want to talk about rule-based activities as opposed to free play, but they're both important. They both have their place, and we should have time for each of them. And investigations that leads to problem solving. Now you see some nice pictures here of, well, the top one there is free play, little children playing with water in the 3 tubs there. One of the little girls has got into the tub. You see they've got some containers that they can pour water from. It's free play with water, and other free play is really, really important. There's a lot about measurement. That is, you learn from that sort of activity, measurement of capacity, volume and capacity. And play lays the foundation for literacy and numeracy. Through play, children learn to make and practice new sounds. Play helps with vocabulary development. Children try out their talk on their friends and exercise their imagination through storytelling. You also see those boys who are obviously cooking something, and that is rule-based play. I mean, I'm sure they're thrilled to produce biscuits or make an omelette that they can eat or something. I don't know what they're making in that picture. Play nurtures development. It fulfills a baby's inborn need to learn, and we don't want them to ever lose that need to learn and curiosity. Play takes many forms. They might shake a rattle or play peekaboo and hide and seek. It can be done by a young person alone or with another young person, in a group or with an adult. It can be done by young children, preschool, and by teenagers. Different play, but just as importantly, it's play.
The finished chart that we had at the beginning, that was one of the things that they mentioned. It's one of the things that I've always known, is that one of the keys to really great teaching is to make sure that the child maintains their love of play, maintains learning through play, that helps them maintain their fascination for learning, and ensures that they are lifelong learners. It's this, and that is the key, to make sure that that stays alive rather than suppressing it, which unfortunately happens in school as we know it, as opposed to future school, which hopefully will be the way of the future.
Yes, and just before we have a break, I just wanted to add the last thing there, that it encourages teachers and parents to communicate with the children in their lives. And adults need to support play by giving children opportunities to play, and they need to know when to intervene and when not to intervene. Now, these 10 reasons why play is important I got from the National Literacy Trust, but they apply equally well to mathematics. Well, here we've got 4 more reasons for why play is important, why it's important to serious learning. It should be enjoyable, but it's serious learning. We are talking about high achievement in mathematics, higher achievement because there's more to learn these days than there used to be, because knowledge is increasing at a really fast pace. So despite there being more to learn, we're still saying it's important to give children time and space to learn, to play. So it gives young people the chance to be spontaneous. So you may think your child should be rolling the truck on the ground or should be doing a calculation in the way you do it. But that doesn't mean that the truck is not equally useful as a stacking toy, or the calculation won't work out in the child's own way. Let them have some freedom to invent their own methods and what they do. And of course, there is a place for guidance, but that should never be constraining. What do you think, Caroline?
Well, I love the balance games where you literally buy something with arches where you can balance. But I know my grandson likes to balance anything, and there's a challenge on how he can make it. Well, that is a great developmental game, and absolutely uses trucks and the more difficult it is balance, the more interested he is in doing it. So, and that also develops the mindset of wanting to have a challenge and wanting to be able to overcome the challenge or to complete the challenge, which is a really great state of mind to be learning in.
And play also gives children choice. Having sufficient access to play outdoors in open spaces and near trees, and having objects to play with or activities to choose from, that'll allow children to express themselves. And different children will do that in different ways. I saw a little girl playing just outside here. I live in a flat, so we've got communal gardens. And she was talking away to her teddy bear. And mother wasn't in sight, but I'm sure her mother was looking out the window, because the flats look out on this open space here, or in the doorway somewhere. And she sat her little teddy bear on the branch of the tree, and she was still talking to him. And then she moved the branch and he fell off. It was all part of the play. I don't know what that was about. Play gives children space to practice physical movement.
And it's not just that with the choice as well. This one includes the space. And that is that if they're afraid of something, it gives them the opportunity to slowly but surely overcome that fear, rather than being persuaded to do something, just being given the space, okay, that's the objective, and you can just take your time about it, or not even make it the objective. You know it's the objective, but don't necessarily share that with them. And when they see other children do it, or you do it, then they'll give them a desire to do it, and it just literally gives them the choice and the space to grow.
So play gives them space to practice physical movement and balance, and to test their own limits. And of course, we're now thinking about free play, but also games, organized games like, football could be just kicking a ball around, and no real rules particularly to the game. Or it can be a proper game of football with two teams and played according to the rules. And of course there are many different physical activities, from swimming and other games, many other games and sports, and playing on a trampoline or whatever it is, where they're learning quite a lot about the world around them as well, and also about interacting, all those social skills, and also how to be involved in something and do your part as one of a team. And play gives parents and teachers the chance to learn how to play a game themselves. And one of the most challenging parts of play is how you incorporate yourself in it as a member of the group, and not, in fact, taking or spoiling it for anybody else. Now, here we're now up to number 8 in our list of 10. And here we've got 4 more important things. So play allows parents and teachers to learn their child's body language. Knowing when you should incorporate yourself in children's play is key. I think I put it down as number 10, but I'm going to mention it now. Children might get upset because they feel that they won't get involved because they don't like to lose. and they are then they're an even bigger loser if they don't participate because they're afraid to lose. But if you see that in their demeanor, then as an adult, you can give them the right amount of encouragement so they do take part, and the right experience so that they know that they're going to win sometimes, perhaps, but maybe it's by losing a few times that they learn to be better at the whatever it is, and eventually to be able to win.
Good chess players will tell you the best way to learn chess is by losing like 1,000 matches of chess. Just always play against someone who's better than you. And a good chess player doesn't have that need to win. They have the need to get better.
That's a really good example. I mean, one thing that one way of teaching children to play chess, which is often used, is for them to play the teacher just to have one or two pieces to start with, and to play over and over again until the child can actually beat the teacher. But of course, the child has got all the pieces and the teacher's just got one or two pieces. And then the teacher brings in a third piece. And if there are three pieces and there's a good chess player, the teacher's a good chess player, the child will, as Caroline says, lose again a few times before they learn that actually with all your pieces, you can certainly beat an opponent with three pieces. And so it goes on. So you're giving the child, you as the teacher are not playing badly, you're playing well, but and you're showing them how to play well, but you've only got a limited number of pieces even from the start. And so the child doesn't keep losing. They keep getting to a point where they can now win, and then you step up the challenge, and so they go on to learn more. So play teaches parents and teachers emotional intelligence, patience, and understanding, because you need that as a teacher and as a parent. You need all those things, and so do the children. And if you do choose to join in the child's play, you should make sure that you don't try to take it over and force incorporation of your objectives into their play. Although as a teacher, that has to be how it happens. Eventually, that shouldn't upset the children. They should be wanting to learn and wanting you to, at times, give them, a bit of a lead as to what they should do next by asking them to think about the next steps. And structured adult-led activities have their time and place, and they are important, but we must learn to allow time for children to control it and to decide on their own play, because they too need to develop the emotional intelligence of how to interact with others in a group, and patience about, I'm not getting this right, I've got to keep trying, and the perseverance and understanding. Now, this target 1,000 game, it's a very simple game, so we can see from the little picture there more or less what happens. You have a spinner, and you keep spinning and randomly different numbers come up, different digits come up from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 9, and you put them in. Everybody has a copy of that, or what you see there. Three-digit numbers added up to see the total, and if they're all around 300 and something, the total will be near 1,000. But what they're trying to achieve is to get the total as near as 1,000 as possible, but they only write the numbers in one by one, and they come up randomly. So once the number's been written, it can't be changed. And if the whole class is doing this, each student's doing it for themselves, there's a lot of building of numeracy and number sense in this. And the one who gets closest to 1,000 wins. There are various little rules about that if you go to the Aiming High website and look at the Target 1,000 game, or if you look at the AIMSEC Facebook page, it's on there today. Play is fun. Learning to play well, both by themselves and with others, It sets children up to be contented and sociable. And play is how young people learn how to be a good loser. We said that, and that's important too. And to enjoy play, whether they win or they lose, and know that sometimes they're going to win. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at this slide together and discuss it. And then I'm going to stop sharing, and you'll need to have your camera on you because you're going to be the robot. And
yes, I am.
Yes, and we're going to show you how you and the children you teach, if you're not already an expert computer programming or coder, can learn how to write computer code. And you don't, and it doesn't matter whether the children you're working with are 5 or 18, or whether we're talking about adults. This is a good way to learn basic principles of computer coding. Now, it's using Logo software, and it's free, and you can download it from the internet. Just Google FMS Logo for Microsoft Windows, or ACS Logo for Mac OS. Just Logo, and you can download it for free onto your computer. And then if you go to the Aiming High website, the 2 links are there. You can start our series of challenges. You don't need to know anything about how to write computer code. You don't need to get anything at all. And you'll soon be drawing many different geometrical patterns and learning some geometry. You'll learn the basics of computer coding. And then if you persevere, you'll learn how to do some algebra using Logo as well. So it isn't just what they call turtle graphics.
Those links for Command the Robot on the Aiming High website, they're in the description, just so you can just go down there and click on them.
Now, you see a picture of a turtle there because this original logo was created at Massachusetts Institute of Technology as a software for children learning in school. And it uses a robot that's a little turtle, which can be on your screen, or it can be like the Roma there, you see, a little robot with a pad on his back and buttons that tell you whether to turn right, left, or go forward, and how many steps. You can fill in the number of how many steps he's got to go forward. And the turtle that you saw there and this rectangle, if you do him on the ground on a piece of paper, he has a pen under his tummy, and as he goes forward, if the pen is down, it draws a line. Of course, you can make the pen up so he can get from place to place without drawing lines that you may not want in your diagram. So he will follow your directions, which are very simple. And he will go forward, he'll turn through the angle you tell him to, he can go backwards, and with a very, very few commands, you can be drawing simply quite pretty and complicated patterns like the one you see on the left, and Caroline's going to do that. So if I get the instructions right. So what you can do with your class is, or your group of children, is actually to take them outside where there's plenty of space. And at first, the adult can be the person who gives the instructions, and the children can be the robots. But once they get the idea, one of them can take over, and they can be the leader, and they can be, tell the rest of the group, including the adults in the group, what to do, how far to go forward, and
design their own instructions rather than repeat the ones that the first demonstration. Everybody designs their own shape and then see if they can get somebody else to follow that shape.
Yes, and if you pursue the sequence of these ideas, following on Command the Robot 1, Command the Robot 2, and then there are more ideas beyond that, then there's some suggestions. But of course, you can decide on what you want to do and create your own patterns. Now, just before I stop sharing, I couldn't resist sharing this link with you. Here, this father, this dad, with his children, he says he'll make them a peanut butter jelly sandwich if they give him precise, clear directions. You see, if you're going to give a computer or a robot directions, if you're going to program a computer, write code, then it has to be clear, unambiguous, and no chance to go wrong. Okay? Otherwise, the computer can't do it. It doesn't know what you mean. It can't read your mind. It can't guess it. So this is an absolutely hilarious video, because the children think they're giving good instructions, and the father does exactly what they have told him, and it all goes wrong time and time again, because their instructions are not precise. So that's
actually known as the PB&J challenge. Just Google it, go on YouTube, look for it. You'll find that one with that image. Tony's put the link there, but that's not a clickable link. I haven't put it in the description. Yes, it's absolutely brilliant, and it's a great thing for you to attempt at home as well.
When you're ready,
Tell me, I'm here.
Now, Caroline, go forward 2.
1, 2.
Okay, Caroline, left turn 1/4. That's right. Forward 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Left turn 1/4 turn. Forward 2.
1, 2.
Left 1/4 turn. Forward 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Left another 1/4 turn. What shape did you go around?
I did a rectangle that was 2 by 4.
And you've ended up facing the direction you were when you started. And my directions weren't terribly clear, so well done, Caroline.
I just refused to move. Computer said no if it was confused. So it forced you to give me clear instructions.
Okay, now it would be much easier if we had more space, but we're doing well. Okay, let's have a go at this, Caroline. So okay, so what I want you to do is forward 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Left 1/4 turn. Forward 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Left 1/4 turn. Forward 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Left 1/4 turn. Forward 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Left 1/4 turn. Now you've gone round a square. Yes?
4 by 4 square.
Yes. Okay. Right. Now, let's see if you can do a bit of a zigzag. Okay, Caroline.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is to go forward 1.
1.
Forward 1. Right.
Another one.
Yes. Left 1/4. Left 1/4.
So a forward 1.
Yes. Left. Forward 1. Left 1/4 turn. Forward 2.
1, 2.
Right 1/4 turn. forward 2,
1, 2,
left a quarter turn, forward 2.
1, 2,
Right a quarter turn, forward 1, right a
1,
quarter turn, forward 1,
1,
right a quarter turn, forward 2,
1, 2,
left a quarter turn, forward 2,
1, 2,
right a quarter turn, forward 1,
1,
left a quarter turn, forward 1,
1.
left a quarter turn.
Okay, I can do left.
Now, Caroline, you have just done the square. I don't know whether the people watching you were able to see it, but you did extremely well, really well. And you did a square with the zigzag pattern inside it that was on the screen, on my screen.
Oh, we can't see that. We can't see your screen.
Well, I know, but they saw it before.
Oh, okay. Right, okay, so you managed to give me the instructions, and I managed to follow them that duplicated the pattern you had on your screen.
Yes, if we'd done this with a group of children, I mean, you know, they could see the pic. They might do it by seeing the picture, and then giving the instructions so that the children who are acting as the robots trace out the picture. Or they might do that on their computer, and they will watch it being drawn as they type the instructions into their computer. If they do it on their computer and it goes wrong, it doesn't matter, because they can quickly change it. By making mistakes, it's a beautiful system, but by making mistakes, they learn from those mistakes by putting them right. And that's really the most important way that people learn to be good computer coders. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing to say, if you were a bit sharp just now, you'll have realized that Caroline we repeated the same instructions again and again and again. So the next instruction that they would learn would be the repeat instruction. So instead of me telling Caroline the same thing again and again and again, I would tell her that they had to do this, but they had to do it 4 times, okay, yeah. Or twice. And so it would cut down on the number of instructions by doing the repeat in there. Yeah. And then you get packages that are little sort of collections of instructions that are called procedures. And very simply, after a few lessons of experience of doing this, if they're teenagers, but if they're much younger, they're lucky enough to have play with a aroma, like I showed you, a little sort of toy toy robot, then they can build up to this gradually. But if they only meet this but when they're 14 for the first time, or even 17, they can, anybody, or even if they meet it when they're 8 years old, they can learn very quickly how to write a simple computer code.
Thank you so much, and go play the robots. Command your robot. Follow the link. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
For greater understanding and enjoyment of mathematics, the Maths Toys YouTube channel is brought to you by AIMSEC and the Aiming High website. In the description, you will find a link to our home learning guide for ages 4 to 18 and a teacher resource pack. If you find this video useful, there is a GoFundMe link in the description to donate to and support AIMSEC. The money goes to bursaries for professional development for teachers in disadvantaged communities around the world. Subscribe, comment and ding the notification bell to make sure you don't